He tried to talk to him, and I could tell that the man was ignoring him. He wasn't trying to listen. If I was in his shoes, how would I want to be treated? Moved here to be with a woman who ended up not being who he thought she was. Stop. It's embarrassing. It never hurts to be kind. I was just at our local Smith's or Kroger, if you're from South, where I'm from, and I was just unloading everything out of my car into my car. As you can see, I still have stuff. I need to make this quick because I actually just thought about it. I have a bunch of fresh fruit and things that need to go in the freezer. But quickly, I just wanted to say that I learned something this last Sunday in church, talking about kindness, the different ways that we can just go out, not even go out of our way, but just take the time to be kind to others and not regret those times that you wish you had done something. Now, I've always been the kind of person where I feel for people, even though I haven't been through their situation. And as I was unloading my groceries, I saw a man with a bike, and being in a college town, I feel like poverty is kind of present, as college students are very poor, or just the town that we're in, there's a lot of homeless people, and so it can be really hard to want to support them, being that I'm a college student. I don't have very much myself, and I'm married to my loving husband, Matthew, who takes care of me so well. Gosh, stop. It's embarrassing. The man, going back to my story, the man, I could tell that he was a homeless man. He had a bike with him. He had his backpack. I mean, not to be judgmental or anything like that. You can pick up the cues, like if someone is stressed. And he didn't approach me, but he approached another man that was next to me, who seemed a little bit more situated, like he had a nicer car. And I mean, I don't know people's backgrounds, but he didn't seem like a college student, I guess you could say. He seemed more established. And so the homeless man approached this other guy, and he was just like, "Hey, I don't mean to bother you." He tried to talk to him, and I could tell that the man was ignoring him, like he wasn't trying to listen. And first of all, right off the bat, like, that made me sad. Like, it just bothers me, I guess. Everyone has their situations, and maybe he was in a rush, like I couldn't tell. But it's so easy to just take a second and listen to someone. And so I felt bad because I could tell this man was trying to get his words out, maybe seeking for help or something. And the man wasn't listening. And so I continued to unload my grocery bags and let them speak. And the man said he didn't have anything, and he wasn't gonna give him anything. The homeless man continued to walk, and I actually stopped him. I stopped the homeless man and just told him, like, "Hey, I wish I had something I could give you, but I don't have any cash on me or anything. I really don't." He was like, "It's okay, like, it's totally fine, like, don't worry about it. I'm just trying to, get some help." And so I was like, "Yeah, of course." And I asked him where he was from, because I could tell by his hat. He had a UT hat on. And he's like, "Yeah, I was born and raised there." And I was like, "Oh, what part?" And he said, "Dallas." And it's like, "Oh, I'm from Houston, born and raised." He's like, "Oh, that's really cool." And as he was speaking, you could tell it was hard for him to get his words out, like he was stuttering. I kept talking to him, found out his name was Mark. I found out that he actually moved here to be with a woman who ended up not being who he thought she was, and they ended up getting in a divorce, but not because of just that, but because he got in a really bad car accident. And so it caused him to have a degenerative brain something. It's just like he's gonna keep on losing memory and all these things, and that's where his speech impediment came from. It really made me feel for him. He said that after getting a divorce, he's like, "I made decisions that I wish I hadn't made, but I'm just trying to figure out life." And I told him, like, I'm young, but I'm adulting, I guess you could say, and that we're all living day by day, and we're all just trying to figure it out, right? Like, adults don't really know what they're doing half the time. But my point is, after it all, maybe I wasn't able to give him money, but it made me feel good, and I could tell that it lifted his spirits, that someone was at least listening to him. What I learned from church, like, it never hurts to be kind. It never hurts to just listen to someone. It never hurts to just take a second out of your life to just be there for someone. And it doesn't have to be someone you know. Be that stranger that makes an impact in someone else's life. And I'm not saying I'm a perfect person and I do this every single time, but it's all about trying. I think my message with this video, like, here I am on YouTube, blessed as ever, to be able to have a phone, to be able to have a home, whatever it may be, to be able to buy my groceries. He can't even pay for a bus ticket, let alone, get his own groceries. And I just realized, like, God works in our lives in so many different ways. And so I realized, like, as I was driving away, Mark almost actually hit me because he wasn't paying attention. So I rolled my window and I was like, hey. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. And I was like, it's okay. And so I really wanted to do something for him, but I just couldn't figure out why. I realized, like, while I was in the grocery store, I bought an extra bag of chips that I don't even really care for. I had no reason to buy them. It just reminded me, like, how God is in our lives and he speaks to us in the weirdest of ways. Being kind and doing small things is going to make a huge difference in someone else's life. I stopped the car again because, it's that awkward just doing it. I got out of the car and I just gave him the chips, not knowing if he was going to like them, but he's like, oh my gosh, like, I love these. And it just made me realize you can never be embarrassed. You can never regret such a special thing, helping someone else out. And it doesn't have to be a homeless person. Like, it can be your best friend, it can be your family member, it can be your neighbor. You're never going to realize the impact that you make until you actually make it happen and actively do something. The reason I made this video is that I want to remember this time and just remind myself, and maybe it'll impact other people. Not that I care for people to know that I'm doing good things. That's not the point of this video. It's just mostly to remind me and to remind others that it doesn't hurt to try. I think it's just so important to realize, like, there's always someone in need around you. It doesn't matter who it is. Like, I could say there's things that I need in my life, but, I'm working towards them. And who knows what'll happen tomorrow. We never know what's going to happen. And I know Mark wasn't expecting for that to happen to him when he was younger. But he's in that situation, and it never hurts to be that person to help him in this point of his life, because you never know what impact that's going to make later on. And I'm not saying a bag of chips is going to change his life. Those things impact me and make me want to be a better person. So maybe it wasn't really for him, but it was for myself. Just remembering that we can be good and that every person is good, and we just need to find it and listen to them. I'm not saying anything bad about that other person that didn't listen. I'm saying that be that person that actually listens. And even though you don't have anything, not that I knew I had anything, it took me a second to realize, like, hey, there was something I could give him. It was the point of realizing, like, if I was in his shoes, how would I want to be treated? I would want someone to just look at me when I talk to them, even if I'm asking something of them. You can kindly say no. And I think that's the biggest thing that I'm realizing in today's world is just, like, people are becoming less and less kind to each other. They become very offended to small things. They want to criticize little things. And there's no need for that. In my life, the solution to everything is just believing in God and believing in Jesus, knowing that he's going to help you out and that he's in everyone's lives. You just have to see it. And he cares about each and every one of us. And I hope at least at the end of the day, I realize that I'm not always the kindest person. I'm imperfect, right? But every single day I'm changing. And that was just one of those moments where I realized, like, what had been told in church, like, is so important. And it's just a weekly reminder of, like, what we should be doing and, like, how we can become better and become more like Jesus. I hope whoever's watching this, whether it be me in the future, whatever, that you're proud of who you are and who you can be and who you can be for others. So, yeah, I gotta get inside. But until next time, love y'all.